Okay, so the quote is, it's on page 200, and it's the grandmother talking to the boy, and she says, "Shut up, you black imp," Granny screamed. "Shut up before I make you. You're always doing things you shouldn't be. That's your nature, and you know it. You can get away with this bad behavior in Alexandria among black people, but not here. This is the white world." So, this is the same quote from that same sort of bus thing, but it's just the reaction of the grandmother, and what do you guys think about her reaction?
Well, I think, like, I don't want to say it's a reasonable reaction, but for a woman who's been dealing with this her whole working life, she encounters this every day. She knows exactly what she's doing when she goes into it, and she realizes the danger of taking a wrong step, and she flipped out for, like, realizing that, like, her grandson is one of the people who could have gotten her killed. But, like, later I think it says she apologizes for screaming at him or something. But yeah, like, if someone were to get me almost thrown in jail for stepping on a bus, I'd be pretty mad too.
I think she was really humiliated in that moment, especially because she had to get down on her knees and wipe off the bus steps, and I feel like, and she had to apologize to the bus driver, and it was a really humiliating moment for her, especially because she came out and had to take all the blame for what her grandson did. And I feel like she was really mad at that time, and in the moment I feel like it's a reasonable reaction. But I also think it's kind of, in a way, it's kind of teaching Johannes how the world works. It's not just insulting him and calling him names and being really pissed off at him. It's actually, she's making sure that he knows this is the white world. It works differently than the black world, and you need to know that because you can get in real trouble for doing something wrong. So I feel like she did. I mean, she could have been more calm about the way she reacted to the situation, but I think she did the right thing. Because Johannes does need to learn, especially if he's going to grow up in this kind of situation.
Exactly, and she did teach him a lesson. He's probably not going to do it again.
Yeah.
So maybe it was for a kid who grows up in a world that most things go like unpunished. Because there's not really much supervision where he is. When he comes into this new working world where he has to use this language where he apologizes and begs to all the white people he sees and comes across, he has to realize that, like, things are different, and that like, things that you do in, like, your world are different from the things that get by in this one.
But he doesn't realize that everything's different. I mean, in that one scene when Clyde is showing him around the house, he's, like, comparing everything, and he's wondering, I couldn't understand why he and his people had to have all the luxuries money can buy, while I and my people lived in abject poverty. It's like he doesn't understand what's going on. He doesn't see why all this is happening.
It's like he knows what's going on. He knows. He just doesn't understand why it's going on. So he knows that white people have more money and more power, more things, and they're able to actually survive. They have food, they have whatever they need. He knows that. He knows that he doesn't have those things, but he doesn't understand why exactly that it works like that. He doesn't understand why. I think he's starting to understand more from going into the white world more. He's starting to understand what they think more, but he still doesn't completely understand why the world works like it does.
Do you think he's accepting it?
I feel like, I mean, in some ways he's accepting that that's how it is, but he doesn't. I don't think he likes it.
But he
I mean,
doesn't want
obviously
it
he
that
doesn't
way.
like it.
I think
He wants to get away.
I don't think he's accepting it, but I think he's like coming to terms with it.
Right. Yeah.
He understands that it's there, but he doesn't believe in it. He doesn't believe it's right. He doesn't believe that it should be there, and but he realizes that something's definitely wrong.
Yeah. He's a very reasonable person. He like understands what is a reasonable expectation for his life and what isn't. And his mother, his mother would like him to go to college, and he would too. But he there's part of the book where he was saying like it's just not reasonable for me to go to college because I need to stay home and I need to get a job and support my family.
When you feel like you're done, separate and start reading the homework.
Should we do the next one?
Yeah.
You can go for the remainder
Should I just pause it or should I just keep going?
You can just keep going.
Do you want me to?
Everybody has to stand up.
Okay.
You
So
are done. You should not be talking.
my quote is, did you hear that, Absalom? Bantu children are smart. Soon they'll be running the country. Do you guys think that, or why do you think Mrs. Smith was so surprised by this?
What page is?
It's on page 189.
That's Miss Smith talking.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like, wasn't that when Johannes' grandmother brought him to meet her, and he was scared at first, but then he really wanted to prove that his grandmother was right by saying like, my name's Johannes, like I go to this school, and this is my teacher, and this is what I do, and he says all these things, and
Like he's
I
trying
think,
to lie himself.
yeah, and I think that it worked because she actually seemed impressed, and she's probably surprised about that because she probably hadn't really met any other kid who was. I mean, Johannes is really smart. He's the top of his class, so she probably hadn't met any other kid who was that smart.
Yeah.
Any other black kid who was that smart, because he's a smart kid. He knows things.
Yeah, he's like what I thought is or picked up is that he's really like intuitive, and he's like James. I think you said he's really like observant.
Yeah.
He like picks up things from his environment that like most kids at that age. He's 10
Or
years
even
old.
adults.
Yeah, exactly. But these people don't pick up on these clues. They don't go into detail about all the things that are going on at the same time. And this 10-year-old kid who lives in the townships of Alexandria, and he comes into this new place, and there's like so much going on in his head that he's picking things up, but it's not like fully like meshing yet, I guess. So
It's kind of interesting to see how this kid who's just like he's still pretty young, and he's like, it kind of just shows how like innocent the mind is, because he's able to like nitpick and find such small little things in life that like most people just like pass by every day, but he's able to like find a lot more meaning to it, whether it be something that's good or bad. I don't know.
But why do you think that Mrs. Smith was so surprised by him saying all this information and realizing that he's actually a smart kid and he's learning things?
Well, I think she'd be surprised because these white people are so separated from this black community.
Well, and he's African.
Yeah.
So he doesn't nobody gets like a good education if you're African, especially during this time. So I mean, if some kid's coming out of like an education that's like really low end, really low quality, how is he able to just like be able to almost be as smart as her kid probably is, if not better?
But also, like, what I thought for the most part was that she deals mostly with gardeners or like housekeepers who don't get these educations, and so the Africans that she sees aren't educated, smart, literate people. They're people who can barely get by in English.
Yeah.
That they're actually human beings and they actually can do things.
Yeah,
Exactly. They're all human beings, and if given the chance, anybody can strive to be anything great and actually have knowledge.
But also these Africans, or the Afrikaner people, the
Afrikaners,
the white people,
Afrikaners.
they think that these Africans have smaller brains, they're incapable of learning things, but it's not that so much as they're not giving them the education that or the money that so they can learn these things.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, you can go.
And I mean, the mother is pretty reasonable, and when the kid Clyde was saying all these horrible things about them having smaller brains and stuff, she came in and she's like, "Don't say that stuff. That's all." Basically, I think she actually said that's bullshit.
Yeah,
But
history books are wrong.
yeah, and she kind of, I feel like she understands, and when she says that kids like him are gonna rule this country someday, I feel like she's not. I mean, she might be surprised by that he can, that he has gotten this as much education as he has, and that he can say all these things and he knows things and stuff like that. But I feel like she knows that black people are capable of that, and I feel like she really understands that they're not given the same education. So she's just surprised that he is able to come out the way he does, given the education that he has. But I feel